Suey. Yeah, come and get it. Come on. Hey, Gertrude. Where are your manners? Stop eating all up from Henry. Just a natural-born pig.
Morning, Joe.
Charles.
How's everything going?
I can't complain. Growing enough crop to keep body and soul together.
Well, speaking of soul, that's why I stopped by. Just wanted you to know the elders of the church are meeting tonight on your application for membership.
Again?
That's right, again. I'll do my best.
I know that. But I still ain't gonna hold my breath. One thing, though. The good Lord listens whenever and wherever a body prays to him.
You're right. I'll let you know how it turns out.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate division.
What's division?
Arithmetic.
Carrie, you mean division.
I still hate it.
I like it.
That's because you're always getting A's. I'm going to the outhouse. Pa, I have to go.
All right, you go ahead and get right back to your homework, all right?
Yes, sir.
Charles, you've tried twice before to get Joe Kagan into the church. Both times it ended exactly the same way. A tie vote between you and Jonathan and Dr. Baker and the Olsons and Mr. Larrabee. Now, why do you suppose it'll be any different this time?
I don't know. Hope springs eternal, I guess.
So does Mrs. Olson.
Just get Nels out from under her thumb. But I suppose that's impossible. Joe pretends he doesn't care, but he does. Cares a lot. He's a man who's a hard worker, fine member of the community. God-loving, God-fearing man. If anybody deserves to be a member of the Walnut Grove Church, it's Joe Kagan.
It's a shame the Board of Elders isn't the same as when Mr. Hanson was alive. This whole thing would have been settled by now.
Yeah. Well, I better get going. If I don't make the meeting, we won't even have a tie. Pray for a miracle.
I simply do not understand why we have to bother voting again. Seems to me it's a waste of time.
What do you got against Joe Kagan?
Nothing. Nothing personal. He's a good enough darky, I suppose, as darkies go. It's a matter of principle.
What principle is that, Harriet?
Oh, for heaven's sake, don't you know your Bible? It explicitly says, "Look not upon me because I am black."
That's from the Song of Solomon, Harriet. It's supposed to be a love song, not hate propaganda. And the quotation goes on to say, "I am black because the sun hath darkened me." And it also says, "I am black, but beautiful."
And that only goes to prove that even the devil can quote the scriptures.
I know.
Mother says that colored people are that way because they bear the mark of Cain.
Yes.
And so they're never going to get into heaven. Is that right, Father?
Of course not.
How dare you contradict me?
Well, she also says that colored people don't have souls because they're not made in the image of God.
Oh. Oh, have you actually seen God, Harriet?
Well, not yet. But everyone knows that God is a white man.
I don't know it.
Oh.
I don't know that he's any color at all. One thing I'm absolutely sure of is that he doesn't care what color a person's skin is, as long as his spirit is pure.
Don't listen to your father, Nellie. He'll poison your mind with heresy. Now come along. I need your vote.
We'll continue this discussion later on, and you will listen.
Nils, come on. I don't care what you say. Persons like Joe Kagan have their own religion. They have their African witch doctors and their voodoo drums and dancing. And they have their spells and their masks. And eating people.
Harriet, this is America, not Africa.
Oh, yes. And it's probably a good thing it is, otherwise we may not all be here.
Mrs. Olson, Joe Kagan's family has been in this country longer than yours, 180 years.
He's 100% American, a full-fledged citizen of the United States.
He's a good Christian. He'd like to practice his religion with the members of his community.
He's trying to worm his way into our church. And who knows for what dark reasons.
You wouldn't want your wives and children praying in the same pew with Joe Kagan, would you?
Yes, I would.
So would I.
Praying to the same God.
We have been all through this before. Now, the point is that Joe Kagan has led a very unsavory life. He spent the better part of his life beating up on good Christians.
Mrs. Olson, we get so sick and tired of hearing you pretend you're blackballing Joe Kagan because he was a fighter.
The way I heard it, a lot of those Christians were beating up on him anyway.
If I may remind you of the gospel, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Now, Joe Kagan believes and he belongs in this church.
And may I remind you, Reverend Alden, that you have no vote here. You have no voice whatsoever in these proceedings. This board of elders has the ability to vote you out.
All right.
As minister of
All
this
right,
church.
I suggest we stick to the subject we were discussing. Now, we are discussing the application of Joe Kagan for membership in our church.
What it all boils down to is this the Church of God or the Church of Mrs. Olson?
How dare you, Charles Ingalls? There's been enough talk. Let's vote. Problem is that some of you have such thick heads, nothing can penetrate. No reason whatsoever.
Mrs. Olson, all those in favor of Mr. Kagan's application for membership, please signify by raising your right hand. It's a standoff.
Well, I guess that settles that once and for all.
Wait a minute, Harriet. All the votes aren't in yet.
The ayes have it!
Oh, Nels, thank you.
Nels, you're all right.
Congratulations, Nels. You'll get your reward in heaven.
Well, I hope you're right, Reverend. Because it's going to be hell on earth when I get home.
Can we come in for a second?
Come right in. Leah, you here?
Yeah, we just wanted you to know we came from the meeting of the church elders.
Yeah, I guess I know what you're coming to tell me. But I've been doing my praying right here. And out in the fields, under the stars and under the sun. I reckon I can go on doing the same.
Joe, how would you like to start doing your praying in church?
You mean?
We mean. Nels Olson finally got his backbone back. Congratulations, you're a bona fide member of the Community Church of Walnut Grove.
Joe, you